and welcome. I'm Tafara Gadamu. What is being done in regards to skills development and job creation? Any meaningful stride forward? My guest, Abraham Asrat of the Ministry of Labor and Skills, says, despite the challenges, key interventions are bearing fruit. Abraham, a very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
How old is this institution, the Ministry of Skills and Labor? 2 years?
The Ministry of Labor and Skills is about 2 years and 6 months old, baby. Yes.
And you joined the institution at its inception, literally?
Around the inception of the ministry, but 5 months into the inception, so around the beginning of the ministry.
So the ministry picked a number of sectors from different ministries and was put together in such a way as to focus on skills and labor?
The ministry is established bringing together different institutions, agencies, commissions, which had mandates that were similar but going in their own way. So in order to bring change and to streamline operations, this ministry was established by bringing together all these institutions in streamline the operations of the ministry. So there was duplication of efforts, one institution doing what the other was doing at the same time, trying to accomplish similar mandates. So the ministry was established considering that this takes a lot of resources, this takes a lot of human power, expertise, and everything. So it has to bring all the mandates at one and be formed in such a way that can streamline operations.
So what are the key sectors that you focus on? Definitely there is skills and there is also labor. Is that all?
So the major priority areas or the mandates of the ministry are 4. So the first one is skill development, and the second one is job creation or issues related to employment, and the third one is maintaining industry peace, and the fourth one is an institution building. So skill development was practiced in different institutions before. At the same time, the effort of job creation was tried by different institutions before the establishment of the ministry. The same is true for institution building and industry peace. So the ministry brought all this together and established itself having 4 major core mandates and practicing on them.
Let's look into skills development. What are you talking about here and how?
When we talk about skill development, we're actually talking about developing the skills of young people so that they can get job opportunities. But we're not talking about skills that are only hard skills. So the trend in the country or the system in the country used to actually encourage practicing hard skills. For example, if you're a plumber, you do the work of plumbing, or if you're an electrician, you do only that. So there was no consideration of having the understanding of communicating with people, trying to solve problems. It wouldn't be your headache. So now what the ministry is doing is combining the soft skills and the hard skills and bringing them together so that the individual who's being trained on a skill development or whose skill is being developed can have both the soft skill and the hard skill. So this is done through the TVET schools or the TVET institutions that we have throughout the country. So
the technical and vocational schools.
The technical and vocational institutes that are dispersed throughout the country are doing this. So now we're combining what was not actually being practiced before, the soft skill aspect of it, so that the students or the trainees can have that understanding of communicating with individuals, or sharing their ideas, at the same time having the actual skill of solving a problem or solving an issue.
So what you added to this conversation is the soft skills. Is that correct?
We added the soft skill to it, but the hard skill was actually reimagined.
What do you mean reimagined? Because I know that as far as talking about TVET, those schools, they were all spread across the country, training young boys and girls in different skills who would eventually make a difference. I think that was adopted from countries like Germany, Austria, and so on too.
Absolutely.
So you these are basic. Without having those basic skills, even if you have those communication skills, wouldn't make a difference.
So the reimagination aspect of the thing is what we used to practice before is, as I've tried to mention earlier, if an individual comes into these institutions, that individual was actually expected to learn the basics of how to do something. But now it transcends into understanding the core problem or going beyond what the issue is. So you're not only a conduit to solving the problem now. You're a person who's looking at the problem and imagining what solving the problem would be and how it can impact whoever is living around it or whoever is having the problem. So I know we adopted the skill development aspect of it from different countries. Basically, Germany is the front runner in this aspect, but we're not taking it as it is now. We're contextualizing the whole thing to our core problems, so to our situation, to Ethiopian situation, and reimagining it so that these people will not only think of skill development in a way of solving one specific problem, but sustainably benefiting from solving a problem, that in a way making them entrepreneurs. So these people could be entrepreneurs in a way of solving a problem. So this is reimagined in that way. And it's reimagined because there is the soft skill aspect of it. The soft skill aspect of it enables the students or the trainees to pitch their solutions for a problem. There is a problem that they're trying to solve, and the solution is there. So they will be pitching it to individuals. In that way, they're making money. In that way, they're creating job opportunities for themselves, for other individuals. So it's reimagined in a broader way now.
So it's all about job creation, is it not?
The gateway is a skill development, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is create job opportunities for individuals, but not only creating job opportunities, making the individuals prosper at the end, as end result is our goal. Not only creating the jobs and enabling them to have a job, but at the end, are these people becoming, self-sufficient and helping other peoples, and is the income that they're getting sustainable income so that they can imagine themselves of having a prospered life? Not only just winning a bread or a subsistence way of life, but going beyond it is what we are thinking.
So what is your role in here?
So
how do you make that happen?
So my role is I'm the CEO of...
as a ministry.
I know. I'm the CEO of Strategic Affairs of the ministry. I have a specific role, but the ministry has a role of facilitating. How the ministry facilitates this is creating partnerships with different institutions, both within the country and outside the country, and participating in bilateral and multilateral relationships and forging agreements, creating agreements with different institutions within Ethiopia and outside Ethiopia, and connecting the dots is what we're trying to do. We're collaborating with government ministries, line ministries within the government in Ethiopia, and beyond that, we're going into different arenas or areas, searching for institutions or organizations that have interest or similar mandates from different countries or multilateral institutions, and we're creating collaborations. So the ministry is a conduit to solving the problem and streamlining these solutions to bring sustainable development within the country, and at the end of the day, making sure that people are prospered in gaining job opportunities in other ways.
So as I can see it, what you do is basically you don't create jobs, but you help in promoting the means to create jobs.
Absolutely.
Same with skills, right?
Absolutely.
So you are thinking. I'm thinking of a multi-sectoral interaction here. Is that a smooth one?
Definitely. So a multi-sectoral interaction and collaboration of ministries, collaboration of agencies, collaboration of different government entities, not only these government entities, but entities from across the board from outside Ethiopia. For example, if we talk about multilateral relationships or agreements that we are forging, it could be with UN agencies, it could be with the World Bank or other agencies of multilateral nature, and it could be with other bilateral institutions, for example, or governments. It could be with the German government. We've tried to mention that the contribution of the government of Germany in skill development is a lot in Ethiopia. So we have this relationship. So the ministry brings all this together. So it uses itself as a conduit to facilitate opportunities.
Let's talk a bit about public-private partnership. That figures as an interesting component, right?
Mm-hmm, definitely. So the public-private partnership aspect,
not easy in coming.
Definitely. The aspect of public-private partnership is what the government of Ethiopia is focusing on now with regard to encouraging startups and encouraging entrepreneurship and things of that nature. So the public-private partnership aspect of it is, for example, we have Tibetan institutions trying to accomplish a lot with the limited resources they have. So by bringing this private institutions to collaborate with the Tibetan institutions, we're using the expertise of the private institutions and sometimes the resources of these private institutions. This was not a trend that Ethiopia used to practice before, or we were not practicing it before. So it's a new notion that the government is encouraging for the private sector to come into our area, our sphere, and trying to influence the positive development of skill development and at the end creation of jobs in different areas. So the private institutions are encouraged now. Not only they are encouraged, they're closely working with us. We're using their expertise. We're using, whenever possible, their resources, and they're using our areas, our infrastructure in different capacities. So the collaboration is really becoming strong. But if we talk about the private institutions having an impact in the government institutions, the impact is not where we want it to be. It will grow. We expect it to grow because it is being supported by policy frameworks, legal frameworks. It is expanding from time to time, but the established relationship is there. The bedrock, the foundation is there. It will grow day in, day out, and we will see the results.
Interesting. That's where I was headed. Many private businesses would be interested in what you're saying. Mm-hmm. It's a really colorful thing. Mm-hmm. But they also struggle with a number of issues. Earlier on, you mentioned policy and so on. So there are regulations, there are policies that are not necessarily conducive to the private sector, maybe. So do you make a significant intervention here in terms of retouching policies and regulations? The private sector has probably a number of questions that it puts on the table in regards to its relations with the tax agencies, the revenue authority, and so on and so forth. There are multiple problems here. Do you have a role in maintaining that?
A fantastic question. What I would say at this point is I don't claim, or the government doesn't claim to solve all the problems. Everything is not addressed yet. But the foundation is there. The government is calling itself an entrepreneur government. The government is encouraging startups. And when the government encourages startups, the startups are owned, incubated, and actually accelerated mostly by the private sector. The government can have its own contribution in actually boosting this growth, but mainly the private sector is doing that. So if the government calls itself entrepreneur government, if the government is encouraging the flourishing of startups in this way, there is no way that it will not work on the policy frameworks. There is no way that it can achieve all those things without working on the legal frameworks. So There is a foundation. We're working on the foundation, making the foundation actually a fertile ground for the private sector to flourish. But everything is not complete. Everything is not achieved in a way that we can say we have every foundation and the private sector can come and thrive in whatever we have. But we are trying to do all these things, and it's what we have is a very limited amount of time. This initiative has been started upon the reform of the country, or the reform that the country has went through. So it's a new initiative. It's a new endeavor. It's not something that we've been practicing for decades. As it is a new thing, we see some developments, we see some change. So there is a will of the government, and there is encouragement from the private sector, and the private sector is coming. And we are actually collaborating on different things, so we will see the results in the near future. That's what we're thinking.
Speaking of startups, it's interesting, is it not? I mean, I see a number of startups. Are you happy with the degree, the speed with which they are making a difference?
Absolutely. We're so happy. Again, the government is really encouraging the startups to flourish. The number of startups that we used to have 10 years back could be only finger counted. Now we have hundreds of startups within the country. The category of startups that we have within Ethiopia can be somehow questionable. For example, we don't have unicorns yet. Talking about in terms of dollars. We don't have that capacity, but we're going there. We are encouraging startups to have that capacity. So when we see the number, and comparatively, what we used to have before and what we are having now is big. Of course, there's the days of startups. I mean, people were starting a company and whatever name they're giving it, not following through their words, so their conviction, and people collaborating, coming together, not agreeing on some points. So, in a way, killing the company that they start. That is a challenge. It's a new trend. It's a new phenomenon for the country, even for the world at large. It's not something that we can say has been there for hundreds of years. So this is a new phenomenon that the government is trying to really encourage. But we're not saying that we can boast about whatever startups we have in here. But we're trying to have unicorns in the country now that the government is opening up different areas, saying with the macroeconomic reform within the country, we expect startups to be here, to be encouraged in here. So we hope to see unicorns flourishing here and there in the near future.
So what are the challenges that you face?
There are different challenges that we're facing. Yeah, we established that we are a new ministry. This new ministry is formed by bringing together different agencies and institutions and the different entities of the government. So these different agencies have their own culture, an institutional culture, their own way of actually following their pace or a different kind of pace. Now, when the ministry brings together all this, there is a challenge of actually understanding the culture of different institutions. But we are now addressing all those issues. We have different dialogues. We have different discussions with different stakeholders. So we're trying to create a family. Now we are a family. But from the very outset, we had this problem of entertaining different institutional cultures. I mean, one institution that used to practice something is now not practicing it in a way it used to practice it. So there was a complaint. But now we are solving that problem. And there is a challenge with regard to adoption of technology. The Ministry of Labor and Skills is more than anything else adopting technology, and it's practicing a tech approach in different things. It's using technology. For example, the Ethiopian Labor Market Information System is fully operational now. It's fully a technology-based platform, and different people, different institutions coming together to operate on this thing would be, as you can imagine, a difficult task, but now this is being solved. So different problems, but different challenge, but the challenge was accepted, and we tried solving the challenge from the very outset, and we don't think that we have it. But there is a tendency of resisting change. It's natural. It's only natural. It could happen anywhere in the world. We faced it, and now we're trying to solve it. We think we solved it. We're more than halfway.
Abraham, it was really a pleasure having you on my show.
Thank you so much for having me here.